Right, I'm glad you asked this question. What is a better investment, a flat or a house? So if we just compare a flat to a house, I will say that a house is a better investment because when you buy a flat or you own a flat, typically you only own the unit. So let's say, yeah, there's a block where there's 6 units, yeah. You only own that unit. You don't actually own the building and you don't own the land underneath the building. So therefore you have to pay service charges and all this stuff in it. If they want to do up the property, like the building, if they want to change the windows and the doors and the roof and that, hey, you have to pay some money. So with the 2 flats that I own that are opposite each other, soon I'm gonna have to be forking out £1,000 a year for each of them. So that's gonna be £2,000 because there's 2 flats for 4 years. I knew this already and I still went ahead and done it. So yeah, when you own a flat, you don't own the building, you just own the unit. So you own the apartment and then you don't own the land. So therefore you can't build an extension. In certain special circumstances, you can apply for a loft conversion or like an upper floor to be built that you can own and that. So I'm not going to completely write off on that. But there's a lot less freedom when you own a flat. When you own a house, now there are such houses where you do, where you can't, it's like a leasehold house. Typically, I believe some of them shared ownership properties and are leasehold houses as well. But for the most part, like my house is freehold. So I own the entire building, my house, and I own the ground underneath it and the back garden. So if I want to build an extension or build a property outside the back, still have to get planning permission, unfortunately, and that. But there's more flexibility and freedom. So if you're just looking at and you're comparing a flat to a house, I will always say it's better to buy houses than flats. But the Chancellor, I don't know what his name is, but I saw it on TV. The Chancellor, some guy, I think he might be white or something, yeah. The Chancellor guy said that if you own a house, like me, I own a freehold house where I own the building and I own the ground underneath. When you own a freehold house, they're allowing everyone to convert that one house into 2 separate flats. Yeah? So you probably still have to apply for planning permission and that and get the architects in to do the drawings and that, but pretty much you're going to get granted the permission to do it. They just want to double check to see if what you're doing is safe and meets building control or whatever in it. But basically the Chancellor is asking people to turn their houses into flats because obviously we're at a housing shortage now in the country. I mean, we've been in this problem for years now. Apparently they're supposed to try and build 300,000 new homes every year, but they only do 150,000. I think to myself, like at some point you're gonna have too many houses if you build 300,000 every year. But maybe I heard it wrong. But yeah. So if you own a house, is what you can do is change the house into 2 flats. So if you compare a flat to a house, it's better to own a house. But if you then get that house, change it and convert it into 2 flats, that is better than owning 1 flat or owning just 1 house. You're better off owning 1 house that you can convert into 2 flats because now you've got 2 assets that are going up in value at the same time. As opposed to, so imagine this, imagine a house in Edmonton, yeah. So a 3-bed house in Edmonton is worth about 400 grand, yeah. So you get 1 3-bed house in Edmonton that's worth 400 grand. If you take that 1 3-bed house in Edmonton that's worth 400 grand and you split it into 2 separate flats, for the most part, you should be able to get about 200 grand for each of the 1-bed flats. Now you've got 2 assets that are appreciating in value. The only thing is, allegedly, houses go up in value a little bit faster than flats and that, but still I would rather still have 2 houses that I've converted into 2 separate flats. So I've got 4 flats, so I've originally started with 2 houses and then each of those houses I turned them into 2 flats, so now I've got 4 flats than just 2 houses. So it's better to invest your money in a house that you're going to convert into flats instead of just buying a flat or instead of just buying a house. Now I'm going to confuse you a little bit more now. And this does support what I was saying about obviously buying the house and converting it into 2 flats. If I was building properties, I would not build a house. with a house, there's a lot of unused space. Yeah, you know, like even like the hallway and the foyer downstairs, and then some massive living room and some massive dining room, or some massive open plan living room, dining room, kitchen nonsense and that. Me personally, if I was building properties, I would build flats. So even if you take here, so like, I'm not going to show you where I live in it here, but let's say, for example, here, like on my estate, you've got like 4-bed houses, yeah? That building is the same size as some of these flats, like the flat blocks that have 4 flats in it. So some of these 4 and 5-bed houses that are on my estate, they are almost the exact same size as some of these buildings where there's 4 apartments in that flat block, if that makes sense. The building that has the 4 apartment blocks within the building, yeah, so the building that has the 4 flats, that is worth more than that 1 5 or 4-bed house, if that makes sense. So for example, a 4 or 5-bed house on my estate is worth 260, but that one building that's on the same estate that I live on, that has 4 individual flats on the inside, that's worth way more than 260. That's probably worth 400 easily. It should be worth 400 because a 1-bed flat in Northampton is 130 grand. So you times 130 grand times 4, we're at what, 520. So me personally, I will build flats rather than build houses. So let me just take you back to the beginning. What's better, a house or a flat? The least, well, let's say from least to good. Yeah, so it goes flats, then houses, then a house that you can convert into a flat, and then if you're gonna start building properties and that, I would build flats instead of houses. Plus, you own the lease, so you own the building, so you can charge them a service charge, you can charge them ground rent and that. And if you can charge someone service charge and you can charge someone ground rent, well, guess what? If you're a leaseholder and you own a flat like me, well, then I get charged ground rent, I get charged service charge and that. So the best thing to do is buy a house that you can convert into flats. And if not, like if you're on trying to build houses and that, or build properties, I would build flats.